My bad about that, you guys. Let's finish this off. Also, Western Sahara, which is supposed to be a part of Morocco, but it left and became its nation again. And then it joined the Northern Africans to prevent Morocco declaring war on it, taking it over. We do have the Saudi pact between the rest of the nations here. And finally, India declares its own pact by making the Indian pact which is between the rest of the Asian nations. And Papua New Guinea. So then we have the Rio Pact arising. So Mexico's in this pact. So I have Jamaica, Haiti, Puerto Rico's supposed to be a part of America. Yeah, I still consider Puerto Rico part of America. Alright. Now, the rest of these nations are just neutral. So that's the world both the alliance form. So now every time there's a problem, we can call the alliance, which basically everybody's in the alliance. So we have the first call, which is Bhutan finally leaves NATO and joins the Indian pact, which is kind of a bad idea because we have the Chinese just so close, as they literally called their pact and declared war on Bhutan. This was not good because Bhutan was in Indian pact, so all of the Indian pact members join. So then this is a huge problem. Because Indonesia's like, I'll be a protector, I'll be a sender, and same as Papua New Guinea. So this creates the big war of Southeast Asia, which also calls another member into the war. Another pact, which is oh shoot. So then we're gonna add the Indian pact. So then the Indian pact, everyone except them two, and also the Pacific pact. Of course, North Korea is already dragged into the war. So we have these three alliances at war with each other. China is the strongest out of everybody, and we're going to see how that goes. Alright, so China and Pakistan know exactly what to do first is to knock out India. So they start pushing into India. Pakistan has a little bit of problems pushing into India down here by itself. But up here with China, they start doing so good. the Chinese invades into Nepal and Bhutan, taking over all of Bhutan actually, and moving over till they meet up with Myanmar. They use their two companions, Laos and Cambodia, to push into that nation, and they completely surround Vietnam, which causes Vietnam to instantly lose. But we have one person who was in this pack that didn't join. That was America. See, America, they just didn't join because they didn't want to make the start of World War III so quickly. And they're like, if we do make it, we're gonna get declared war on every country. Like, we're not gonna join in the war. We're just gonna watch. Just gonna watch and send help. So of course the Americans send help to India, which causes the Indians to push back the Pakistani troops and starts marching into the Chinese. South Korea starts to get bombarded by North Korea and China as their troops enter. South Korea is pushed back. So America sends troops and the Japanese, and they start pushing back. They start pushing back the North Koreans. So now let's see what happens to China people. We have the South Koreans pushing into the North Koreans. And we have the push in of India over here. Well, India pushes into China over here, but they have to stop. And also Pakistan as well, which is their only Indian coast nation. So they have to be very careful with him. The Indian starts pushing them back, starts pushing them in. This is what the war looks like and how it's going to go. So now the Chinese have to actually push in all their troops. They start pushing in all their troops, and they finally cut off the stronger people to the weaker people. So these people are already about to collapse, and then they finally take over this whole part. This part of Malaysia is safe because they're under the Indonesian rule, so they don't have to join the war. And China starts marching through India and them, and it starts pushing down and capturing New Delhi, which is a huge hit. See, a couple of Pakistani troops use this advantage to move over and surround these Indian troops. So then, this causes the Pakistani troops to push them back and push in more and more into India. So India starts to collapse because of the loss of New Delhi. We have them moving over into Nepal, but they couldn't move anymore because they had to deal with these troops right here. And then they finally start pushing back these troops, and they push out all the Indians. So then the Indians while they was doing that, they meet up back in Burma, taking them over and cutting off them from over here. They make a landing over here into the Vietnamese and revives them. Then India uses its last and final powers to revive Burma and them, and kind of push them back in its lands, taking back New Delhi. But that's all of India's power, as they had no more power left. So this was a massive hit. So when they had their power, they pushed into the Chinese once again, making a bigger one, which started to make the Tibetans rebel away. So the Tibetans are getting ready to rebel away and say, ah, the Vietnamese, well, it was alive, and the Indians still started to push them back and connect up with the Indians and them. So they had a bigger front line. And since India lost its power, nothing else they could have done. So of course the Chinese used this stance to cut off them from the Indians, and they start swifting through India. As they start taking over more of India, the Indian troops couldn't stand anymore. They captured the last and final coast of the Indian Sea. India has finally been captured by the Chinese. So now, since the Indians were captured, this was not good. Not good for the Vietnamese and the Japanese. Because without that means the Chinese can start pushing back them in North Korea and over here in Vietnam. But I forgot Taiwan. I added Taiwan to the war. And they start pushing back them. Once they start pushing them back, they meet up with a stalemate for the Vietnamese. The Vietnamese keeps it stalemated and keeps them like that. This little big pile of troops started to move more and more out into China, taking over all of the Tibetan region, making China starts to outbail on itself and say, "Oh my God." So then that's when this giant clump revives Nepal and starts reviving some of India. As Nepal captures New Delhi, the Indians finally respawn back and they capture a good amount of them, and they start pushing back the Chinese and them on their coast. As they capture back their inner lands, we have the Indians taking over back a good amount of their land till they have to stop at these 100 borders. Because the Chinese has fully active control over this area, and this area. They have full active over those areas. The Indians call a peace and say, "Please, peace us out." So then we have border changes by a lot. So let's go ahead and start off with the red team borders let's actually start off with the blue team. So the Indians get to claim lands up. So the Indians get to claim lands up to here of China and right there, because they lost the war, of course. And the Vietnamese gets a good amount of land from the Chinese, and Cambodia and them. Then we have the rest merging with each other. But offense, we have the red team getting a lot of land. This is going to be the Chinese, and this is what the Pakistanis asked for. And also, the reason I didn't unscrew that area is because China took over all of this area, all the way down to Malaysia. So let's go ahead and erase these borders, and let's see how these countries look now. Alright, and now by every member in NATO and the Pacific Front came all to India. Oh yeah, I forgot. South Korea gets to annex all of North Korea. So now every last single member here to there comes to India and gives some love to the person who once ruled India. He was a great person. Nice to Vietnam, nice to Myanmar, nice to all of its people, all the way up to there, and even expanding its friendliness in Europe, then Africa, and then they been showed it to America. This is the whole map. This is the whole map they show love to, and in Russia as well. But he hated him. And him. Yeah, that's what they called him. They said, I hated him and I hated him. They hated them too. They got into this bad war. And since the Indian power, like I said, was going down, he started to become unconscious from some nuclear power plants and the war between these guys. This symbol represents hated people and the Indians. So he hated them till finally a Chinese soldier came up and stabbed him, killing him. As the ruler of India's basin sent at Basiwaki, everyone crowded here. All of India's population from here to here came to this small area, and it crowded that area, and the Russians as well, such as all of Europe, all of them, and all of them, and all of them. All of them came to this area and said, we will miss you. You are the greatest person we ever seen. We will soon get China back for you. We'll make the Indian dream he wanted. So his Indian dream plan was like this. He wanted to make the Indians stronger and better. This is his plan, but he only got at least 10% of it after he lost about 5%. And I forgot to do that, but also this piece was at least 9%. This massive piece right here from China, see, Pakistani, was 25%. The rest was at least another 10%. So 10, 5 makes 20, makes 25, and we have a 25%. Makes 50. Then we have a 9%, which makes 59. So that means all you needed is 59 million blocks. The percentages were for the millions. 59. There was nothing he could have did about it. He got a little bit of his dream plan. It's like this border right here. He got before this Chinese soldier came up and killed him in the peace negotiations. But that Chinese soldier got shot by the Chinese because they was like, why would you do that? We were making peace negotiations. We're making peace negotiations. So that guy got shot. He recovered and got sentenced life in prison. Life in prison is not good, as you just go to prison and you won't get out till someone bails you out. So of course he got life to prison. But he wanted to complete that Indian dream. And that's probably going to be the end of part 2 of this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. I love you guys so much. And I have a lot. When I say a lot of explaining to do. A lot. No joke. A lot of explaining I need to do. So thank you guys for watching this video. I'll be making a series of this. Thank you so much. Bye bye.